Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course, pleased to be joined by Rocky Johnson, the head hockey coach at Howell. I know we're still in football season, but 2 weeks away from you guys getting on the ice and starting the 23-24 campaign. Rocky, how are you?
Oh, doing great. It's that time of year right now where we're planning and getting everything fine-tuned ready for the season and organizing things to get ready, man. We can't wait. It's chomping at the bit, as they say.
Yeah. Okay, so I know you won't know your official team until you complete tryouts, and obviously I know you and I talked about this last year with that, but a lot of guys from last year's team are back. So, I mean, how much do you kind of know about your team heading in before, even if tryouts haven't happened yet? Obviously maybe some new guys that you haven't seen yet or anything like that. So how much do you kind of know what your team's going to be like before?
Well, as you know, we all have a summer schedule that we play against a lot of teams, play the showcases in July. And that helps us, understand who we have and who's around. And it gives us a good opportunity to look, just like every other coach within the MHSAA. And then we have the fall league we're in right now, which is the Heartland League, real top teams. So it gives us a great opportunity to look at players and just kind of see what we have. But to your point, I think most coaches know who you have coming back, who you believe is going to be coming in. Decisions aren't made until November when we have tryouts, or I guess this year it's October 30th and 31st, which is Monday and Tuesday. But yeah, I think we have a good understanding of who's coming in. There's always the outliers that show up in October 30th that really rock our world. So we'll take a look at everybody. And we have the two teams, our varsity and our development team that plays in the JV league. And we look at both places, and as well as anybody, we talk about it every year that we look at both teams as part of our program. And we like to kind of use them both and see where people, land throughout the season. So we're excited, but we have a pretty good idea. I think we, like everyone else, we kind of have a pretty good idea of who's coming back and what that looks like.
Yeah. Okay, so I know obviously the team is not set yet. The roster hasn't been set, but you probably have an idea of some of the the top returners coming back.
Well, it's funny as you say the top returners, and preparing for this this interview, it's we have I think we're gonna probably with 11 seniors on this team of 18 players. 16 skaters and 2 goalies. Possibly 3 goalies. It depends on how it turns out. But yeah, we have an idea of who's coming back and who's our better players. But it's hard to say the top tier players. So I think we're probably only going to be adding a few players to the mix, possibly or not. It depends on how they show up in October for 30th and 31st. So but yeah, we have a pretty good idea for our top players and who they may or may not be, just based on last year and how they've performed through the summer and the fall.
Yeah. So I know that, I was actually kind of looking at, I was when preparing for, the upcoming season, I was actually just putting, typing the schedule into my famous Google Docs. Yeah. So kind of looking at it, you guys are, I know you guys were at home quite a bit last year. You guys are going to be traveling a lot this year.
What's funny is when you say that, every year it's kind of the same every other year. With the KLAA, we have mandatory games. I believe it's 12 or 13 mandatory games. And so, 10 of them with each team, and then we have an extra one, and then we have a crossover. Excuse me. And then we have the MIHL versus KLAA showcase on Saturday I believe it's to be December. So, so we have those mandatory games. In one year, we'll have 12 or 13 home games, and the next year it'll be less. It's kind of funny how that works, but we were really fortunate this year. The Calumet up there reached out to us at the spring and said, "Hey, would you guys be interested in coming up?" And obviously, anytime you get an opportunity to play up in the UP against those great hockey teams, it's important. And we have the Finnish connection here that enjoys to go up there, and all our players love going up there. It's a great time. So so we took advantage of that. So that takes away 2 home games that we would have normally had this year. heading up there the end of November, first weekend of December. So we're excited about that to play Hancock and Calumet. We're going to bring our development team up with us. So it's going to be a real good bonding moment. And then our athletic director is really close with the folks at Michigan State. And so we decided that we were going to try to invite teams from the West to meet up with us. And Cranbrook was gracious enough to join us. So we're going to play 2 games, which would have been our home games. And they are home designated home games, but we're going to play them at Munn Arena. And that's in January. So that, I mean, I think that's in December also. So it's very exciting that we get that. But those are 4 otherwise home games that we normally would have had, that we decided to go up to the UP and then to have our home game shifted over to Munn Arena, which is just super exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be obviously a great experience for the kids
Yeah.
to kind of do that. But you always you had a ton of non-conference opponents that you got to play, and obviously you just mentioned it with Grand Haven, Granville. Yeah, but of course Cranbrook is coming, and of course a lot of the conference teams that you have. So pretty good conference and non-conference schedule. Of course, going to Powers this year, and then ending the season with Birmingham.
Every year we try to have a great schedule, and it's always that balance that we wrestle with every single season of between a top 5, top 10 schedule, which is where we typically fall, primarily based on the KLAA and the talent and the skills that are within the KLAA. But you want to balance we want to have some success, but we want to be prepared for the playoffs. So with that balancing act, yeah, we have some great non-conference schedule. I mean, you mentioned Cranbrook, we play them, and we got Powers and Birmingham Unified. And, I mean, let's be honest, anytime you travel to the UP and you play a Calumet, a Hancock, or a Houghton, I mean, those teams are always loaded every season. So those are, especially going up there and playing in their barns, some phenomenal, exciting times, but they're tough. So yeah, I mean, we're going to be prepared for the rigors of playoffs, and that's really kind of the goal is to play those teams and do the best we can with that. So we're excited for that. But I mean, Casey, how can you cannot dismiss the KLAA? I mean, Brighton, Heartland, Salem, Stevenson, Churchill. I mean, let's just go on. All those teams, Plymouth, it's Canton. I mean, there's no slouch. So, and I'm sure I left out a couple, and I apologize for that. But yeah, it's just brutal.
Yeah, of course, Canton is actually who you guys opened the season with. Of course, that was the first game, so we kind of get it started on November 11th. But the two count. I was going to save the county rivals for its own separate question. Of course, you guys go to Brighton, and you guys go to Heartland this year. They both came to your place last year, but just to see that the respect that you and Kurt and Rick all have, because you guys are all friends too. So what's that like? Just the 3 of you, just because you guys are pretty close, but you want to beat each other, but you guys are also friends at the same time.
I mean, at the end of the day, let's be honest, we're competitors, and I want to tear them apart every single time we play against them. That's just what you do as competitors, and they're just as fierce as I am. But at the end of the day, they're good human beings. They care about their kids and their programs, as I do. And, we try to help each other. Again, we are the KLAA, and we do believe we have the best conference in high school hockey in the state of Michigan. And so to support each other, whether it's scouting information, player information, that sort of thing. Yeah, we absolutely share. We're very friendly with that. And, I don't know that we hang out outside of the rink, but none of us have time to do that. Obviously, our bandwidth is small or narrow for that. But we talk all the time. I was on the phone yesterday with Ricky, and that's what we talk about. Is we talk about players, we talk about scheduling, we talk about who's who in our league, and then in the MIHL and other leagues, and who we're playing, and preparing for that. And it's like everybody knows, we don't know when the regional finals are, or what region we're all in. That gets decided here in the next week or so, right? And none of us really know that answer. So we obviously try to prepare against each other. Since we're either playing against Brighton or we're going to be playing against Heartland and Clarkston. And so we prepare for that, and we share information a lot. So it's a great relationship, but be honest, man, we want to rip them apart. That's just what we want to do when we get into their barns and they come to us.
Yeah. Okay. So, going into, talk about your, the staff that you put together. I know, what's that going to be like? To talk about any staff changes that you might have.
So, at the end of the season, at least I do this. I imagine every coach does this. We had to reevaluate how things were going, how things looked. We have exit briefings with each player and each family, and ask them what they think, what they feel. It's a safe place to really air all the information that we needed to move forward to be better the following season. And in this season, it kind of got to the point where I think we had to make some changes in how we deliver our information, how we coach. And then, we had some staff members that are now teaching at other schools and or just kind of timing. And so we had to, our assistant coaches decided that they had to move on. And that was the right thing for them and for the program. And, we were very fortunate. Our development team head coach, Jay Meyer, great guy, loves the kids, perfect heart, what we want for a coach. He stuck around, he stuck with it, and the kids really enjoyed him. That's a positive. We've also looks like we're going to add Stephen Mullally. And for most of you that don't remember, Stephen Mullally was a all-star defenseman, all-state defenseman, went on to play college hockey at NCAA college hockey at Post University, and great human being. He's going to come back and help out with our development team. We're really excited about that as a volunteer. And then it looks like we have an opening right now for our assistant coach for the varsity. Obviously we'll go through the process and see who that is and who applies, and do the interviews if necessary with who applies. So we're looking for that. So, we've just been fortunate this summer and this fall to have Keith Robertson, formerly assistant coach with Stevenson, led them with Dave Mitchell for the last 10 years or so. He's been with the boys this summer and this fall, and that has been a dramatic addition for the boys for the summer and the fall. We expect him to apply for that position also. So who knows where that falls? That's up to, the school and the district and myself to decide with interviews and such, assuming it goes that way. But I know he's applied. I'm not aware of other applicants at this time. So, but it's exciting if he's so selected, and if he does get to earn that position, we'd be excited to have that, because he's been a huge addition. The boys love him, and we've changed our way of delivering. I mean, as old people, I'm pretty old now, and we have to change the way we coach and how we discuss things with players and get more involved with why we're doing the things we're doing. And I talk to the players a lot. And, what we learned from last season was we had the skill set, because let's be honest, Casey, we have pretty much the same kids coming back, save maybe a few, depends on what that looks like at tryouts. So what's the difference? If the skill set's the same, what's the difference? And everybody we've talked to and continuing to talk to throughout the summer and fall is the mindset. And the kids are really buying in. I just think it's a maturity with them. It's a maturity with our staff, with being able to deliver the message appropriately to the way they're listening, and we're giving them the information properly. I think that 50-50 two-way street has been dramatically different this summer and the fall. And I believe that's kind of what we're going with. We're really talking about mindset and focusing on the mindset of the players and the coaching staff and how we go forward.
Okay, so what do you feel like you're in the next 2 weeks before the season kind of starts? What are you looking at? Obviously, still, there's still some things you guys got to do before the season can get going. What are some of those things that you're going to be looking at the next 2 weeks before Well,
I'm going to be very honest with you. There's Keith's running a fall practice today, and there's a skate on Friday. Next week, there's a development team JV level game on Saturday. The next 2 weeks, and then there's a fall game. But we're pretty much off the ice as of Friday, other than a couple of games left over. But be honest with you, I'm worried about now the fitness gear and the equipment and setting up the locker room and tightening things up with our travel. In terms of Traverse City showcase that we're going to be involved with, it's just a phenomenal production. They do a great job up there, and going up to the UP and finding places. We got the hotels down, but finding places to eat and making sure we manage the team appropriately. So I got to be honest with you, that's really where my focus is right now, and kind of tightening all those things up so that the players experience the best opportunity to have success. In terms of player development and that sort of thing, we kind of give them a couple of weeks off, about 10 days or so prior to the season. I think that's what we're supposed to do. And so we do that, kind of clear their heads. We talk with them, but, at the most part, it's time for them to replenish, relax, clear their mind space, the head space, and make sure that they're in a good spot when it comes to tryouts. We'll continue to promote tryouts and what's necessary for them to accomplish and be ready to go with their GPA and with their making sure that they have their athletic physical in and that sort of thing. So it's more paperwork, administrative stuff right now with the next 2 weeks and making sure that's ironed out. That's really the priority, I think, getting that, because the kids are ready. I mean, everybody's just, we want to get on the ice and get going.
All right. Well, Rocky, thanks for coming on. And Rocky's going to be joining us throughout the season. It's going to kind of like if you've watched the Flying G Huddle, it's going to be very similar to that. Obviously, we'll come up with a name, but we'll talk to you throughout the season, and maybe we'll have you on in a couple weeks once the team's set.
I'm very excited to participate with this, Casey. You guys do a great job for high school hockey and high school sports, and we're just excited for that. I mean, anytime you get a chance to promote these young men with what they do, and it's the best time of their lives. So I'm super excited to support you and our team and the KLAA and hockey in general. So whatever you need, obviously I'll do the best I can to participate, and I'm looking forward to them, whether it's every week, every couple of weeks. So you just let me know, and we're excited for the season, and let's go Highlanders, right?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Rocky, for your time.
Yes, sir.